All right. Good day, everybody, and welcome back to the LOCO Podcast, brought to you by Tiger Wave. Today is going to be a great day. We got a special guest for you, and yeah, it's going to be a good one. So, let's start off with Chillax Chat. What's up, Logan?
Hey, Connor. Good morning, everybody. I hope that you're having a good one. It's bright and early, 8:55 for us right now on a Friday morning. Getting ready to celebrate the weekend. Connor, what have you done this week? What's been productive?
What have I done this week that's been productive? Let's see. I learned some stuff on the guitar.
Like what?
Learned a song called Stay Together for the Kids. And I learned this other song called The Press Corps, which is very hard on bass, actually. Oh, sorry, I'm chewing gum. Let me take that out so the audience doesn't hear that the whole time. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to set that right there. And, I went to school this week, as most people did. Wasn't very productive there, but, that's school for you. Not very productive in general, so.
Yeah, I did something similar. I also played a lot of guitar this week. I finished recording a cover of Cheap Sunglasses by ZZ Top. I don't know if you've heard that song before. I know that you're not as much of a blues guy. You like the punk rock. But
heck yeah.
That's pretty much all I've done this week. It hasn't been that productive. I don't know.
What else have you done? Nothing?
Well, I don't want to make the audience sit here and wait for me to remember what I've done this week because I can't pull it out of the top of my head. But I can tell you what I'm planning on doing this weekend. And what I'm planning on doing this weekend is probably not very smart because I think that I might be taking a trip to San Marcos, which isn't that great because I'm pretty sure that they're like a major hotspot right now.
Mm-hmm.
For COVID. But
COVID, yeah.
I've got some friends that are in college right now that I haven't seen in a long time. I kind of want to go. I just want to go say hi, see them. They just got a new apartment, so.
So you're going to Texas State?
No way. They live off campus. They just got an apartment off campus, and that's pretty much the only condition that I would go under because I'm not going to go anywhere but their apartment, and I know that they're pretty good about not going out. So I'm not too concerned, but at the same time, I don't know. Texas hotspot.
Well, stay safe. Can you see where I am today?
Where are you?
I'm in my garage. My dad has a shrine to Gorilla Grodd over here. You know who that is?
Yeah, I know Gorilla Grodd. He's a Flash villain.
Yeah, so I've got a Gorilla Grodd shrine over here. So that's pretty cool.
Kind of your man cave.
Yeah, and I got this luchador guy over here. I got his autograph.
We have a poll for the audience this week. We're going to put up a poll. How many of you like Connor and I's setup more than Joe Rogan's new setup? Okay. The internet does not like Joe Rogan's new podcast background.
Why? It's pretty cool.
Understandable reasons. It's okay. I've got some feelings on this. This is good.
A little obnoxious.
This is something that's going on current day that I want to talk about. Because I don't think it's as bad as people think it is. But there's a couple reasons it seems so bad. And the first one is that there's red light coming out from behind them, but no red light hitting the front of their faces, which makes it look very fake. Because it looks almost like a green screen. And people don't see that like consciously, but subconsciously, it makes it have an uncomfortable feeling. Because it's just something unexplainable. Although it's very easily explainable, but your brain doesn't know that. The other thing is that I think the old studio did a better job of having wider shots. So you could see the table, you could see like the space between the guests, and I think that made it like more human-like. With the new setup, if you notice, their cameras are much closer to their faces. And you can't see the table between them. I think it just feels more disconnected. I think that's a big reason that people don't like the new setup.
Well, do people even watch the video version of Joe Rogan? Like, it's a podcast for a reason.
I watch the video all the time. I prefer the video.
Go watch Tom DeLonge and Joe Rogan, guys. That's my favorite one. Shameless plug. But
so, I think that he will. I think that despite everybody's extremely negative reaction to it, I think that it will be fixed shortly. I think that they're easy fixes to make. I think that he just needs to have a little bit better lighting in front of them on their faces and on their bodies. And I also think that they can correct the camera shots really easily And I just think those two things will make it much better. Because I agree, I like the studio itself is really cool. I don't know if
Yeah.
you ever saw when they did the wide shot of it and you can see the TV.
Mm-hmm.
That looked awesome.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a spaceship.
The problem is the camera angles that they're using don't show it off very well.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, isn't he in Austin now?
He is. Yeah. They're his
Okay.
daughter's here. He's here.
We're gonna get Joe Rogan on the podcast. We're going to do it. Okay.
He says what he wants to do is he's planning on buying a ranch and putting a comedy club of his own on the ranch and building an amphitheater, and he wants to put on charity concerts basically, and wants to put on festivals once all this COVID stuff is done. He's got big plans.
That's cool. Oh, we could go to that then, bro. And then we could find him and be like, get on our podcast, the LOCO Podcast. So,
I had to take a drink of water there.
yeah, this is a message to Joe Rogan. If you're out there, I'm going to come for you, and I'm going to make you come on my podcast, okay?
We now welcome you to the state of the drip. Our first story is going to be taken away by Connor, and it is about going back to school. Connor, take it away.
All right. So, as you know, next week, September 14th, we return to school. As you probably know, I don't know, but I'm telling you now. Okay. So, there's a lot of takeaways from this, but I'm just going to give you a few of the big takeaways. So, lunches will be narrowed down with like much simpler food choices. Going to be pre-portioned, that kind of thing. Cafeterias would no longer offer self-service, and students will be monitored to make sure that they're at an appropriate distance from each other at all times. Depending on your grade level, different processes will be used to check out. I'm not going to talk about the elementary schools because I don't think people are from elementary are listening to this. So the 6 foot distance will be required for assigned seats at lunch, and microwaves will not be provided in the cafeteria due to cross-contamination. So how do you feel about that, Logan? Doesn't it sound a little like, I understand why they're doing it and I'm all for it, but like, what's the point of going back? Like, if it's mostly for the social interaction, right? And there's barely, like, what is this?
So my takeaway from this is that it is not about the social interaction. I think that would not be correct. I think it's about parents who cannot afford or cannot deal with having their kids at home. Families where both parents might work long hours with kids that need to be supervised or need to be aided in some way. And I think that a lot of the people going back are going to be those type of people that need some form of help that the school can provide, whether it be meals or behavioral aid. And I think that there's other students that signed up to go back in spite because they were so upset that they were forced to stay home this year. And I think that they're about to go back and learn that going back to school was a lot different than they thought it was going to be.
Well said. I think everybody has their reasons. Next, we're going to move on to the common areas, and will they be available for use? So there will be schedules and protocols for the common areas. So you're going to have to sanitize the space in between classes. Sometimes you might have to bring personal supplies, like water fountains are off limits, so you will have to bring your own water bottles. And students and staff will be required to use hand sanitizer when entering and exiting common areas. There's going to be a lot of cleaning desks and stuff after class and before class. Masks at all times unless you're outside with a pre-registered outside area, so you can take your mask off safely and stay 6 feet apart. So there's that. And then we have, how will desks and tables in classrooms be arranged? So basically, they'll be distanced as much as instructionally possible. Outdoor space, like I said, will be used as much as possible as well, but there's going to be limited outside space as well because you can't put the entire school outside. Although last week we said 60% was returning to school, but then recently in one of my classes, teachers were taking polls, and it was like, it didn't seem like that many people were going back. Like, a lot of people changed their minds once they found out about all the protocols. So, like, it's not going to be just wearing a mask. So,
well, like I said, I do think that a lot of it is going to be people who really don't have a choice but to go back. I think that the school prefers that too, because it makes it easier to keep it safe for those people. Obviously, if you have the option to stay home or go back to school and you're comfortable staying at home, I feel that it's probably smart to do so just for the sake of the people who can't. It's not going to hurt you. But what do I know?
Well,
Let's move.
mentally it hurts the students because, as young people, we actually need social interaction to grow. So we're being deprived of that right now, and it probably is hurting a lot of people. So if you are being hurt by this, stay safe. We got you.
We do got you. Is that your last protocol?
Yeah, that's the last one. Now,
All right.
Logan, you had a
yeah.
special press. You got into a special area, didn't you?
I had a little bit of secret coverage of something going on, and I want to talk about it real quick before Granger gets in the call. I think he's coming in a sec. So we had the ribbon cutting ceremony for the new J-Wing, the new building at the high school, which is super exciting for anybody that is into arts, engineering, science, journalism, and that might be it. It's the CTE building, and it has 3 floors. It has a huge green room for AV Tech. It has the state-of-the-art TDN filming location. It has all of the updated science labs, physics labs. Aquatic science has an entire new fish tank setup that's really cool. Shout out to Aquatic Science. And it's just all around going to be really cool. I got to take a peek inside of it, and I can say that anybody who is going back is going to be very impressed with what they've done. The ribbon cutting itself is pretty standard. You had the superintendent go up, Todd Washburn. He said a few words, thanked people who helped in the process of finishing the building, and cut the ribbon. And then it was all said and done from there. I got snuck in to the building. It wasn't really supposed to be toured, but I'm planning on filming a tour of the school, so I wanted to take a peek around. And yeah, it's fantastic. It's not totally done yet. There's some odd issues, like the fact that the way that the windows are positioned might put glare on computer screens, so they're having to install some blinds to put on the windows so that teachers can choose whether or not all that sunlight's coming through. But yeah, that's that. Get excited. That's big news for our school. Connor actually has a story about our upcoming guest, Granger Rosipal, who is a fantastic dancer and a patriot of Dripping Springs. He was here for a long time. I believe he still lives here. He just does not go to the high school anymore. Connor, what's your story?
So one time it was a very hot summer. This was 2 summers ago. I was working as a lifeguard at this pool, and I see this kid, and his name was Granger, as you know, and I was like, this kid looks familiar. And long story short, he brought me a hot dog and a drink while I was on the stand, and I really appreciate it. So thank you to Granger for doing that. He probably doesn't remember it, but he's just such a nice person.
He's a tremendously generous person. He has such a big heart, and he always gets so excited about everything that you tell him. He's a really wonderful guy. I'm happy that he's coming on here. I haven't talked to him for a long time because, as we're going to get to in the interview, he's had quite a bit of success with his dance career. He does competitive dancing, and he actually left public high school in the middle of last year to do less work heavy online school so that he could focus on that dance. So I'm very excited to catch up with him. What?
Can I tell my hot dog story and see if he remembers it?
Yeah, of course. All right. Audience, we will see you with Granger Rosipal. Granger Rosipal.
Yeah, that's me. What's up?
Dude, how's it going? It's been so long.
I know it's been going great though. Yeah, it's so good to see you. Yeah, it's been way too long, man.
So, bro, you might remember me. I've seen you around.
Yeah, no, I remember you, dog. Yeah, it's good to see you too, man. I love the hair. Looks really good.
Oh, thank you.
Connor was just telling a story about one time you came up and gave him a hot dog in the hot summer, and it was very nice of you.
I was a lifeguard. I don't know if you remember it or not.
Oh, wait, I think I do remember that.
Get out of here.
Oh, wait, what kind of hot dog was it? Was it just a hot dog? Did it have a bun or anything?
No, I had a bun. No, you didn't just hand me a hot dog. You're like, thanks.
Yeah, we were commenting on how And I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Granger. You're one of the most generous people I've ever met. You have such a big heart. It's a really wonderful thing.
Oh,
And
shucks,
I
man.
just one reason that I wanted to have you on this interview, we were expected to interview somebody, but it's been so long since I've seen you, and I really wanted to check in and make sure that you're doing okay and just see what's going on. I know that you're so passionate about your dance career. I wanted to see how that's going and just hear a little bit about you. So without further ado, Granger, if you had to pinpoint one place that your passion comes from, where would it be? Where does that spark to pursue your dance in such a ferocious way come from?
I would. I would say it comes from as like it's really an outlet. It's really an outlet for my personality. I really feel like anything else I've tried, like sports, like basketball, like soccer, those things were fun and those things were nice and they were active and I like being active, but it really wasn't something that fit my personality, something that I didn't really feel like made me whole. But when I dance, I feel like not only is it the activity of dancing that inspires me to do better, and that's something that makes me happy, but it's also, there's just such a wonderful community in the dance world that where everyone just builds each other up. And that's just something that gives me life too. Because I know if I get better at dance, I have more opportunity to meet more people and to explore myself more. So it's not just about improving in dance, it's about improving myself through dance.
That's really fantastic. That's awesome. And I wanted to also say, Connor commented on it, your beard is fantastic too. How does the dance community feel about that? I know that you're under expectations when it comes to body hair in the dance world. This is no secret. They do ask sometimes that you, or maybe they don't ask, but it helps to be waxed or shaven, right? Am I correct in that?
Yes, it definitely does help. Especially like if you're in a role that like you are shirtless, like it's just going to be more aesthetic if you don't have any body hair, because you can see like the muscles in your form like better. So it's like that. Yeah.
We're talking to a man that is closer to a gorilla in body hair than a human. I took weights and conditioning with this guy. I saw him in the locker room every day, and it is ridiculous. He's like a gorilla. I don't know. It must be very painful to have to wax all of that hair off of your chest.
Honestly, not even really. People complain about that way too much. It's not that bad. I promise you, it's not that bad. The only hard part is not even the nipples. You would think it'd be right on the nipples, but it's actually right here in the center of the chest.
Huh? That's like over the solar plexus?
Yeah, over like the solar plexus, because that's like where the most concentration of like hair is. That's what hurts the most.
Wow, how interesting. Now, I remember when we were a lot younger, back in middle school, you did a lot of theater. I remember you were a theater kid, or at least that's how I saw you.
Yikes.
My question is, was that a similar thing that you felt creative passion for, like dance, or was it just a stepping stone on the way to finding dance?
Oh, it was definitely a stepping stone. Because like as much as like you need to have acting ability to dance, that's an undeniable fact, but it's just like the nature of that that really didn't interest me as much as like just dance. And I don't know what it was, like something about like the theater community always felt really toxic. Like
it is. I was in theater. They bullied the hell out of me, dude. I feel you. I'm scarred.
Theater often has an issue where I think some of those kids are too good at becoming other people, and it sometimes in high school you have to focus on figuring out who you are, like yourself. You discover yourself, and I think that if you spend too much time trying to be other people, trying to put on an act and trying to create a persona, it will become toxic just because of the fact that you're not figuring out who you are. It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of those kids that are toxic just are really confused about their actual personality and who they actually want to be. But that's just me looking at it. I don't know.
That's a really good point.
So, I'm curious as to what your music choices are and how it influences your dance, and if you gravitate towards songs that have a more danceable rhythm, or if that doesn't really matter to you.
So like with a lot of music, like typically, like it's gonna be like in 8 counts. But like really, no, that doesn't matter. Like you should always be able to like adapt to like what the rhythm is of the song. Like for competition, this year, if we can have competition, just because of like everything that's going on with Corona, we have like 2 dances that like it's counted in 6s and then switches to 3s. It's really weird.
Okay.
But it's like it's a little harder to count, but it's like whatever. It's like we got to do what we got to do. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And as far as like song choices, I don't know. I feel like this is my confession. This is my little confession right here. Is I definitely don't listen to enough music as I should, especially hip hop, because as a hip hop dancer, that's what I'm mainly passionate about. Hip hop is a culture, and not just a dance style, but everything that embodies hip hop. It's also a culture. So that goes from like the lifestyle, the clothing, the dancing itself, the music. And I definitely don't listen to enough music, and I don't diversify myself. So I typically end up opting for whatever people find popular, so more mainstream music. So that's like my confession and what I need to work on and what I need to improve on. But I would say really anything that's like popular and things that are just really well liked, because that's going to be typically more well received, especially if like you're in a competition or you're just doing like a piece in public. People are going to be like, oh, I know that song. Whoa,
Right.
and bonus, this guy's dancing to it. All right, cool.
It's easier to enjoy if you already associate enjoying with that song. I'm sure that it's easier to like just turn off your brain and just be like, this is great. And this takes me to another question that I didn't actually have written down, but I thought about it. And how do you feel about these TikTok dancers? Because this all kind of happened after we stopped hanging out. And as a competitive dancer yourself, do you think that it's awesome that all these kids are dancing for fun? Do you think that it is a shame that they're not being more technical about it, or you just don't care at all?
Okay, so me personally, I think it's awesome. I think it's so cool. Any excuse to just get people moving to music and to express themselves in any way, I think is beautiful, like no matter like in what form or what media. Yeah, and that's typically like the same opinion most dancers would have, honestly. Some people, there's like a small group of dancers that are kind of salty about it for no reason, being like, oh, it's like they're marking, they're not doing anything big, it's not technical. These guys aren't dancers, and they're kind of being snobby about it. But for the majority, including myself, it's absolutely a fantastic thing just to see like other people just dance for fun, because I feel like that's a big thing that's lacking in our society. Is people are so scared to express themselves, especially through dance, because that's such a vulnerable thing to move your own body in front of other people. Like that's so stress inducing.
Absolutely.
Right. So any way to normalize that, to say it's okay, you can dance, it doesn't matter if you're good or bad, as long as you're having fun and expressing yourself, then just go for it.
I do think that that's really beautiful. Now, obviously, when you dance, it's an artistic expression above everything else, for you at least, I imagine. I don't want to speak for you, but I imagine, knowing you, it's a form of artistic expression because you get to be yourself and let that come out. Yeah. And sometimes when you're using artistic expression, a sexual attractiveness is part of it. You might do, and I'm not a dancer, but I imagine that there are certain dance moves that are provocative and that helps shape the dance in a way. Now, but the TikTok dancers, I wonder, do you see a difference between being artistically provocative and just being, I mean, some of these TikTok dances are just really sexual for the sake of just being sexual, And you might not know, you might not have an answer for this, but I'm curious. Do you see a difference between that, or does it not matter?
I would definitely say just because it is a social media platform, I would say it is more superficial. It is a way just to get clout and followers, because people will definitely like if they see like a hot girl or guy being like,
that's attractive. That's why it's done.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I definitely do see a difference, but just because it is a social media platform, it is more superficial, because there's that motivation to get likes and whatever, versus like when you're actually dancing, that's more about, I've created a piece for people to observe. There is no likes, there is no comments. It's like, it just exists as is.
And that's, of course, that's not to say that all TikTok dances are sexual. That's not why I bring that up. I just brought it up because I'm curious. I think that most of the people on TikTok are just having a good time. Now, how about world music? Do you listen to any music outside of the United States to incorporate into your dance routine? Are there any foreign time signatures that you've ever experimented with? Do you find any of that interesting?
No, not really. Honestly, the closest thing I've done to that is when I experienced a little bit of like Latin ballroom dancing, but my knowledge in that is very limited. I'm a little experienced in it to kind of know what it is. But other than that, no, not really.
And you're not interested in further learning it, or?
Oh, I'm always going to be further interested. It's just like right now, that's not my goal to learn that.
Right.
So that so I'm always going to have an interest in any type of dance. It's just like right now, that's not my current goal. So I probably won't be learning about that in the near future or now.
Well, it's good to have a focus. Now I know that we should explain to people.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. 1 second.
Yeah. We should explain a little bit that now, when I last spoke to you, there were even, I'm sure that COVID has stopped this a little bit, but there were talks of you being so successful at dancing that you were even going to be going around the United States. I believe LA was a location that you might be going. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did any of that happen? Did any of that happen? Did it get canceled?
Okay, so actually I did get to travel around the country. And that was stuff, I can't remember all the locations, but I went to like 5 different cities around the United States. But yes, because of COVID, my last trip of the season was supposed to be in LA. I was supposed to spend 2 weeks there. But that did get canceled because of COVID. But I'm trying to look on the bright side though. On the upside though, is that since I'm missing a lot of time with my team, I get a guaranteed spot to participate in the next season. Okay. So, because every season we have to re-audition, but now I can continue to be on that. So when COVID is over, I can continue to travel with my team and continue to learn about the industry.
Man, that's so cool. That's so awesome. It's really, I've seen you work so hard, so it's so awesome to see you out doing these things and getting the reward for all the work, because I can't even express how hard this guy works. He works out hard. Yeah, go ahead, Connor.
I got to say something. So dance is normally you've probably gotten seen as more of a feminine thing, right? But Granger, you are like one of the most masculine men I've ever seen. And I just respect the hell out of you for everything you're doing and like not caring what people think. It's amazing. You are awesome. I wish I could be like you. You're so cool.
Oh, thanks, man. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I just had to put that in there. That's so cool.
Are there any life skills that you gained while training for dance and training working out? Like on guitar, I learned while practicing how to be patient, how to be dedicated, and those are skills that I can apply elsewhere in my life. What have you learned from training so hard?
I would definitely say so. I would say I learned more, not just from the train, because like really when you train for anything, I feel like, yeah, you're always going to learn patience because everything you work on takes time, and you're always going to learn how to think. Like you need to get that mentality to work hard. But as far as learning from dance, I'm going to come back to the the culture and the group of people in that community,
Mhm.
I would say I've learned more from them because the profession, like the professionality, like the amount of professionalism you need to have to be successful is very, very high. And I would say I've definitely learned how to act more professional, especially traveling with my team, because we're having to work with kids, adults, parents. Some of them not too nice. Some of them, like I got some stories about that. I can share with that in a second.
We'll talk about dance moms to finish it off. I'd love
Oh
to hear
my
about
gosh,
dance
the
moms.
dance. That's
We'll
gonna.
save that for last.
Oh, that you guys.
I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna write it down so we don't forget.
Okay, good, because that's something
We'll come back.
all on its own right there. Um, but I would say the biggest thing I've ever learned was learning to speak like with true and utter confidence. So I feel like a lot of the time people mistake confidence for being like just straight up loud and obnoxious. And people are just like hiding their insecurity through that. And I'm naturally a really loud and obnoxious guy. Like that's just me. And that's who I truly am. So I think in the past, I've been that way to cover for any insecurities I've had. But now I'm in a much better place in my life to where I can truly speak freely, and that's what I think. And just like to really be myself. So when
It gave you the ability to express more accurately and more fully and more encompassing of who you really are.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and just like something I realized, like something that like a bad habit that got knocked out of me, that I realized I had that I need to get rid of was I was a people pleaser. Like I was really like I would straight up like lie. Like this sounds so awful, but I used to straight up like lie.
No,
to, like,
I remember, and it's not. I don't think it's awful. The fact that you acknowledge it shows that you've grown quite past it, and I don't think you're the only person to ever have that issue. I'm sure many people have had that issue. You know.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. But it's just like, I've just learned to not be a people pleaser. It's just because I feel like, because what ultimately makes people happy is being yourself and being genuine. And people will see through that so fast in the dance world if you try to be a people pleaser. Like people will not like you so fast. Like this one time I was dancing with this girl, super talented. Her name was Marin. I met her through my company, LA Dance Magic. And I was doing a duet scene with her on stage, and we messed up something in it, like low-key, like she did mess up. But in backstage, I was like, oh, sorry, that was my fault. And she was like, she looked at me like kind of like disgusted, being like, dude, no, just let me like take the blame for that, because that was definitely my fault. And I was like, that's someone I really, really respect. And I lost like a tiny amount of respect because she saw how much I was trying to be a people pleaser. I still have a really good relationship with her. I think she's awesome. I respect her so much. She's so talented and hardworking. But that's like a moment right there I realized that was not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could have handled that differently, been like, no, it still looked good, because actually we still did make it look good. It wasn't like a super obvious mistake, but it was like obvious enough to where if anyone was really looking, they would notice.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's just like moments like that, like just small moments like that kind of build on top of each other, that build your reputation of being a people pleaser. And it's like, I just need to stop those tiny bad habits to ultimately be a better person and a better dancer.
So to rephrase it, you would say that ultimately you learned a lot about yourself and your own behaviors through dance, that you were able to, you took a real honest look at yourself and were able to change things for the better, as you see it. You were able to become a more mature person because it just gave you a better look at what was going on. Now, Connor, you want to take the next question?
Of course. So we've talked a lot about your personal experiences, but can you just tell us a little bit about your workout regimens? Like, what does it take to be as good as you?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? The feed cut out for a second.
Sorry. So we've talked a lot. Oh, my Wi-Fi is getting bad. Okay, we've talked a lot about your personal experience, but like, Can you tell us about your workout regimen and what it takes to be as good as you?
So keep this in mind. The world of dance is infinite, and there's so many different styles, and there's so many different places.
We're going into some trippy territory here. You're gonna blow my mind.
Okay.
The world of dance is infinite. I might need to get in this.
Okay. But just like check it. Is that there's so many different levels to the industry. So my goal is to ultimately to be like a commercial hip hop and jazz dancer. So ultimately I'm gonna have to move out into LA eventually. But right now I'm finding work here. I'm currently teaching at my studio.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's really awesome. My mom told me.
Thank you. So right now I'm just trying to build my resume and train more to prepare myself for the commercial world in LA. That's my ultimate goal. And people may have different ones. So dancers' workout routines and how many hours they practice and how long they get rest and whatever is very, very different from dancer to dancer. But for me personally, I'll probably I go to bed at 10 o'clock. I wake up at 6:30. I either do yoga or I do a core workout or I lift weights for an hour and a half. I go to school. And then after that, I'll go either teach or take class from either about 4:30 or 5:30 all the way to 8 o'clock. That's my schedule now for every weekday. And as far as weekends, I'll have weekend practices with my company that would typically last about 3 or 4 hours. And that's typically it as far as my consistent workout schedule. But because things do change a lot, oh my gosh, dancers are so freaking flaky. I constantly have to come in and make call, people call me and have to go in and sub on weekends or weekdays. It's just other little things. So my schedule is changing a lot, but as far as consistency, that would be about it.
Yeah. I've seen you eat almost everything in existence on the planet. I've seen you eat sandwiches containing everything from the lunch line that could possibly fit in the sandwich. Things that are disgusting that should never go together. Tell me a little bit about your current diet. I know that you've had a unique diet in the past. What does a typical day of food look like for you today? Have you changed it at all? Do you still scarf down all that food?
Actually my diet, I've actually been super proud of myself is it's been really clean. I eat a lot of vegetables. I get most of my calories from plants. I don't eat a lot of meat. And I'm not saying meat is bad. That's just what makes me feel good personally. So a lot of spinach, a lot of carrots, bell peppers, potatoes, rice, a lot of rice. I eat so much rice. A little bit of supplementation. Right now, the supplements I'm on is creatine, which is a supplement that raises what's called ATP in the muscle just to make it work more efficiently. There's more to it than that, but that's one. And the second
Joe Rogan is also taking creatine.
He's a good man. Yeah, he's got the right idea. And I'm taking a collagen protein powder. So it's a little bit of supplementation to make my body function more appropriately. Lots of fruits, lots of vegetables. Very, very little additive sugars. I try to avoid additive sugars. But I would say once every 3 days, I'll probably have something with additive sugars, probably some kind of sauce or a little bit of ice cream. Oh, I love ice cream so much. And I drink over a gallon of water a day.
Wow.
So
impressive.
Thank you.
Connor, sorry, go ahead, Granger.
But no, that's a far it is by my diet. It's just most of my calories is plant-based, and I just drink a lot of water. So that's it.
Sounds healthy. Connor, do you want to take number 10?
Yeah, I got you. So we've covered a lot.
Connor, we can't hear you.
Hold up.
You might have unplugged your headphones.
Can you hear me now?
Not really. Granger, you can't hear him, right?
I can barely hear him.
We can barely hear you.
Okay, hold up.
Do you want me to just ask it, Connor?
I want to do it. Here,
You sound like we can hear you now.
All right, so I'm not going to sound as good, but so basically we covered a lot. I just want to know what your dance career looks like post COVID-19, and then I want to hear a dance mom story as well.
So post-COVID, yeah. As soon as COVID's done with, I'm gonna like immediately start traveling again. Like even more so than I normally would, because I have so much to catch up on, and I have so
What
many
is
people.
what is post COVID for you? Is that like all of the cases are gone and the world is fine, or are you comfortable traveling as long as there are just low numbers, or like what's your comfort level on that?
I would say low numbers, really
Yeah.
like low numbers. It's gonna be a really long time for me to get a vaccination, and I know that sounds selfish of me, but it's like I know I'm really good about social distancing and whatever.
Right.
And like right now, we're not in a place where we should be. Absolutely, we're not in a place where we should be. But once we get to a place where like numbers are low enough to where it's like just safe for people just to like travel, I'm absolutely going to go back to traveling.
Hey,
Like
that's fair
100%.
enough. We live in America. I'm not going to tell you you can't do something you want to do. You know, you're young. You're going to be fine. Go do it.
Yeah.
So you say you're going to go travel. Where are you going to travel?
Well, it depends where my troop is going. I think they like the schedule would change, I think, according to like different state laws and whatever. So I don't know if I like, but LA would definitely be on the list just because that's the place to be for the type of dance that I'm pursuing.
Right.
That's where it is. I would want to travel more. I know that's not like super far away or anything, but I would want to travel more to Houston, because Houston is like some people call it like the hip hop capital of Texas, or the hip hop
Sure.
capital of like the world. Some people throw some big stuff out there about Houston. I would want to train more in Houston. That's but like really just like anywhere like really anywhere else. It's just as long as we're like wherever my troop goes, wherever my team goes, I'll go with them. But those are the places that I would want to be for my career education.
Your goal right now, career-wise, is less specific than I want to go here and do this exactly. It's more of a I want to gain as much experience as I can in the places that are good to do so. Is kind of where
Yes.
you're at.
Exactly.
That's a healthy mindset. Now, tell us about Dance Moms. We don't care about anything else. Tell us about
Oh
Dance Moms.
my dance moms. Oh my gosh. Okay. So everyone's like heard of it or like seen a little bit of the show like Dance Moms with like Abby Lee Miller or whatever. I'm gonna just say right now, not all dance moms are that crazy, but some of them definitely are. And not all dance teachers are that like strict or whatever. But there are some women who feel very entitled. I shouldn't say I should say parents, because dads can get like this too. I just noticed this a lot more with mothers. Is there's a lot of entitled people. So for LA Dance Magic, one of our jobs is working security during competition. So I know it's like I feel like James Bond. I get like a microphone, I get like a walkie-talkie, and my job is to basically just walk the crowd and make sure no one's filming, because that takes away money from LA Dance Magic, because you're supposed to be able to buy the video, and they have awesome like plugging right now. They have awesome video and awesome like photos, so it's worth your money to buy it. So like,
well, we'll do our best. Is there like a website you think we could link for that?
Yeah, literally, you can just look up LADM like,
All right,
.com and you'll find it.
We'll do our best to link that everywhere that this gets posted, so that if anybody is interested, go check that out for sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome. So basically, I'm working security, right? I'm walking around, make sure no one's filming, and there's this woman who's like filming on her phone or whatever, and I'm like thinking, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure she just doesn't know about the rules. So I walk up to her, I'm like, "Ma'am, you're not allowed to film the competition." And before I finish my sentence, she's like, "What? My daughter is dancing. That is my daughter right there. I paid $300 for her solo." And it's just like, "Ma'am, we actually have like video and photo options for you to purchase, but right now you can't." And she like keeps interrupting me, and I'm trying to explain to her, like, and I'm being so polite, I'm being so polite and like well-mannered. And she's just so angry with me. And the woman next to her, she starts talking about me she starts talking about me to this woman as if I'm not there, being like, "I can't believe this guy is not letting me do this. Like, why? Like, I paid so much money." And it's like, ma'am. And just like, this went on for 5 minutes. And eventually eventually she put it down. And the entire time she was staring at me like she wanted me to die. Like every time I would walk around, she would purposely make eye contact with me and like pretend to shoot lasers through my head. Like it was so bad.
The best part about that is that I'm sure that whatever video audio recording the actual event was doing would be like 15 times better than whatever she was doing on her phone, because it's going to be actual video and audio quality that you can purchase, as opposed to just probably like a vertically filmed phone video.
Right, exactly. And oh my gosh, and there was this one mom that was okay, so I wasn't here for this, but I just thought this was really funny. So at our studio we had a male teacher. He doesn't work with us anymore. And one of the moms like thought he was real cute and started hitting on him, like like backstage when he's trying to organize the kids or whatever, and she would come up and like start hitting on him and start flirting with him, and like everyone would be like, oh no. And he was not interested like whatsoever. And she was so persistent too.
What's the ratio of Karens to non-Karens in dance? Like, is there a large number of Karens, would you say? Or is it just a few?
I wouldn't say there's a large number. I would say there's enough to where it would make people think that there's a large number.
There's always enough. There's always enough.
But I don't know. Like really I would like maybe like 1 of 50 moms. Like 1 of 50 moms are Karens, I would say. Probably. Like
Granger, I would love to make you a recurring guest because you've been so wonderful. I think we do have to cut it off because we're getting a little long, but seriously, you've been so awesome. I'd love to have you back at some point to do a dance mom tier list. I would love to make a dance mom tier list with you. But otherwise, Granger, stay awesome, dude. You're so great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. This is awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah, I hope to have you back. Take care. Let me know if you want to hang out anytime soon.
Yeah, man, for sure. All right, I'll catch you later, man. I gotta go. My brother's yelling at me.
That's cool. Take care. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Conspiracy Corner, Connor's show.
Yay! You ready?
Oh, I'm always ready for Conspiracy Corner.
Nice. Tell me if you've heard about this one. The Nazi time bell.
The Nazi time bell. I'm not familiar.
A lot going on in that statement.
I know that the Nazis had a lot of interesting records, but I'm not like super familiar with the time bell.
Well, you're about to be. So
make me informed.
Let me tell you about that. All right. So it was also known as, it's spelled Die Glock, but it's pronounced Die Glocke in German. You know what that means in German?
I have no clue.
Can you guess? Just do one guess.
Say it again.
Die Glocke. Die Glocke.
Time.
Close. It means the bell. It was one of the words, so.
Okay, I figured it was probably one of the words.
Anywho, so basically, there's this place in Poland called the Hinge, which basically looks like the Stonehenge, but a little more constructed. You know, it's all connected in this little round circular shape.
Yeah, there's henges all over the world, but I'm familiar with that. There's a lot in that part of Europe.
Well, there's one in Poland called the Hinge, also known as the Fly Trap, and it was said to support a German coal mine during World War II. However, there were an extreme amount of German resources in this area, which would be an odd amount of resources for just a coal mine, you could say. Okay. Also, I want to have a little disclaimer here. I don't believe in everything I'm saying. I'm just saying this stuff for the sake of the show. Okay.
This is a conspiracy corner. These are conspiracies. That should say all that you need to know. These are unproven, fun to speculate about things.
Yes, I'm not an absolute kook. Maybe just a little bit. Anywho, so as I said, there was a lot of German resources going into this area, and it was a little confusing as to why they would put so many resources into this one little coal mine when there wasn't a lot going on. Basically, was it covering something up? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Why? So
you're familiar with the story. I'm not.
I am. So then we get to
we're going
Go
to
ahead.
cut this out because we keep talking over each other. But I just wanted to say that for all of the listeners, I don't know any of what he's about to say. Just to refresh everybody on what Conspiracy Corner is, Connor is coming researched on his topic as much as you can be with a conspiracy. And I am not aware of any of this at all. I'm as aware as you all are about what he's about to talk about.
Well, first of all, there's not a lot of info about this on the internet, surprisingly. But as I said, so they had this little coal mine, a lot of resources, very confusing. Why? So then we get to the bell. They basically, it's theorized that this area was home to like a secret lab where the Nazis and their German scientists. You've heard all about the Nazi scientists, right? And how crazy they were with all their experiments.
I'm very well aware of a lot of the stuff that Nazi Germany did, including trying to replicate what they thought was UFO technology, including manipulating the DNA of twins to try and unlock superpowers. It was pretty ridiculous, some of the stuff that they were doing. They were also the first...
Well, the UFO technology ties into this.
Well, they were also the first, or one of the first militaries to use meth to stimulate their soldiers. They had huge factories designated for making meth, and then they would give it to their soldiers on the front line instead of food, and they would just keep going because when you're on meth, you don't need food.
Wow. Fun fact. Yeah. So now we get to the bell. It was said to be a weapon that was so powerful it could have turned the tides of the war. As the Allies were closing in, there were some Germans that disappeared. It's said that they went with the bell. Now, there could be multiple bells. That's unconfirmed.
Maybe I am familiar with this. Right. Okay, keep going. I think I know what you're talking about now.
As I was saying, if it's shaped like a bell, it's basically meant to hover, not go up, and it can go up and down, but it can't really go left to right, that kind of thing. So you kind of decide that it can't really be it can't really be an aircraft of some sorts because of its shape. So what else could it be? A time machine.
Well, I do have to push back just real quick, because I was actually researching this just yesterday. I find it very interesting. It's a new subject matter that is not proven physics. It's very theoretical, but the idea of gravitational field propulsion, which is essentially, I won't get into it too far here, but the idea is that you are using the gravitational force to your advantage, warping space-time so that you don't actually need an accelerant or a propulsion to move your vehicle. You're just you're basically riding a wave on space-time, like when you use a surfboard.
Yeah.
And that would be one way that an object like that could move in any direction. And it's also a way to get around the speed of light. Because if you're just moving on the surface of the fabric of space-time, you're technically not breaking the speed of light. Anyways, that's beside the point.
No, everything you just said is extremely relevant, actually. I was about to get to that. But as you said about the way what you just said about harnessing space-time, basically, this reminds me of the Bob Lazar aircraft that he said he saw. It's said this might have been based off an electromagnetic propulsion system, which I think is like almost verbatim for what Bob Lazar saw.
Right.
Which,
so essentially what that means is that they're using some form of engine, supposedly. Obviously, this is all completely hypothetical. But what that would mean is that they're using some form of advanced electromagnetic system to create so much energy that once you have enough energy, it bends space-time just like mass would. And I believe that in Bob Lazar's example, he claimed that element 115, he claimed that element 115 was the element responsible for producing that massive amount of energy. But I think he also even mentioned that some of the spacecraft that he worked on came from other countries that had lost wars.
Oh, my God.
So it is always possible that after the Nazis lost the war, that some of their spacecraft, if they had any, went to the Americans.
Dude, I think we just connected the dots. I think we literally just solved a mystery. Bob Lazar had the Nazi time bell at S4. Okay?
Is that it?
I think we solved it, but that's not it. Let me get to the rest, and then we'll put it together, okay? So as I said, I was talking about how the Allies were closing in, specifically on General Hans Kammler, who was discussing defection for immunity with the U.S. But
Yeah, at this
suddenly,
point, the Germans aren't doing very well at
yeah,
this
they're
point.
not doing great. This is towards the end of the war, very close to the end. The Allies are closing in on him. He disappears along with the time bell. Now, some people speculate that this could have been because he went to another alien planet. He time traveled. But I think the main one is that he went to another planet, which would be contrary to my statement about the aircraft. But I don't know if we can just like teleport or whatever. There's a lot of
But
possibilities to the bell.
but I have to wonder. There's only two options. Either he went to a planet that you can't live on and then just died because of that, or he went to an alien planet. But what alien planet is going to host a Nazi? It's not like
Well,
they're exactly the best of our people.
let me answer that question, Logan.
Yeah,
Maybe it was the alien planet of the aliens that were helping the Nazis.
I don't think so. Why would the Nazis lose the war if aliens were helping them, Connor?
Because they're Nazis and they suck. That's how bad
That
they
doesn't make sense to me. I have to play my role here as the person that disproves this. That makes zero sense to me.
It's just a theory. And so it was also possible that this was alien technology.
I think it's more likely that they just had archaeological. The Nazis were so Hitler was obsessed with aliens. So I find it more likely that they came upon vehicles by just pure luck through digging rather than like interacting with aliens.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I know I read it in the book Chariots of the Gods that there was an ancient spacecraft that was found, or was it Bob Lazar that said that? I think it was Bob Lazar that they found a spacecraft like underground somewhere. Buried, yeah.
Like it had crash landed.
Yeah. So maybe the Nazis found like some crash landed buried spacecrafts and they used those to help them out, which obviously wasn't successful. But that's a possibility. That it was alien technology.
You look back through human history at a lot of the art that's been done, and you see, not to get too ancient aliens, but you see a lot of flying vehicles in the background of shots in the back, almost as if it was a common occurrence to see these vehicles flying above, and that maybe they didn't even think all that much of it. You know, if it was just something that happened all of your life, then it's just something that happens. And I would find it I have two perspectives on this. One of them is that if there were vehicles flying over Earth like that, it's likely that some of them would have landed or have crash landed and that they would be here still. But my other part of it is if you're an alien that's so sophisticated that you can get to Earth, why are you crash landing? You didn't figure out how to land? Like that seems like a pretty big oversight. If you're able to get through all of space and then you didn't figure out a plan for landing right?
Well, you know, atmospheres are different per planet, so it could.
But you'd think that if you're sophisticated enough to get all the way here, then you'd do the research to like.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can also like. There's telescopes that can look at atmospheres and stuff and what you're breaking through. But I got you.
My dad is a fan of the idea that there were space fights that caused vehicles to land here. He thinks that there were. This is just crazy talk at this point, in my opinion. But he thinks that there were the reason that UFOs might have crash landed is that they were battling in the sky. And that's a lot of the biblical fights that get told in all across different religions that happen in the sky. Get out of here.
That would be very cool.
So
that's Conspiracy Corner for you. The Nazi time bell, the Glocke.
Very interesting. And, you know, if he is in the future or he knows about us because our podcast got really big, we'd love to have him on. We don't support Nazi ideology in any form. We denounce it entirely. Yep. But he's a historical figure, and if he is around in the future and wants to come back, we will give him a spot on the show just so that we can pick his brain.
I want Hans Kammler and Joe Rogan on this podcast, okay?
At the same time?
You're out there, Hans Kammler. I'm going to find you, and you're going to be on this podcast, and we're going to rip you apart. So this week, my album is called You're Gonna Miss It All by Modern Baseball. You ever heard of Modern Baseball? I think I've talked to you about them before.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm not all the time listener, but I'm familiar with them.
Yeah, so Modern Baseball is one of my favorite bands. The album, You're Gonna Miss It All, is their probably most popular one. Got songs like Your Graduation on there. It slaps. And so they're just a great band. They got all the twinkly guitar riffs. Very relatable lyrics, very good lyrics. So if you're looking for a good cry session with something to listen to, I highly recommend listening to Modern Baseball. Last night I sat in my bed, kind of stared at the ceiling while listening to Modern Baseball, and it was a good time. So if you want to cry,
really
listen to
awesome.
Modern Baseball.
My album this week is going to be Physical Graffiti, the deluxe edition, Led Zeppelin. That's a fantastic album. If any of you have heard it, I'm sure that many of you have. Such tracks as the Wanton song and Boogie with Stu is one of my favorites. I believe Houses of the Holy is a track. Cashmere, great songs. Check it out. It's really cool. Connor, this has been a fantastic podcast. Thank you for your help with Granger, and you're always a fantastic
Don't say it.
guest.
God, no. This is our show. LOCO. Logan plus Connor.
I'm just joking. Connor, you're a fantastic co-host. Yeah, take care. This is we're going to end this because it's getting a little long. Everyone stay safe. We love you very much. Don't go get the COVID. Stay to yourself. You got to wear a mask. Always wear a mask when you go outside and unless you're in a place where you don't have to. Stay safe when you go back to school. If you're going back to school, we hope that goes well for everyone involved. And we'll see you next week on Wednesday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.